Hi, this is Jordan with another interview in the Lesson Learned series. And right now, as I'm recording, it is 8 p.m. Friday in Connecticut in the USA. But in Japan, we have Alison Flores, where it is 9 a.m. So this interview is both a night and morning interview. Alison Flores is a senior art student at the Temple University's Japan campus. So thank you for speaking with us and agreeing to speak with us and for answering all of my very long questions, because I have a couple. My first question is, why did you choose to study in Japan? What is the journey that brought you to this outcome?
So, why I decided to study in Japan was because of the high school I attended. I was thankfully able to visit Japan in my sophomore year of high school. And I studied in Kanagawa, Japan for about a week with a host student and did some touristy things, but I felt like during my short time there that I really liked the environment of both the um, social life of Japan as well as the educational. So from there on, I just thought, oh, this is somewhere that I need to study. I'd be very interested in studying in Japan. So that's my journey to here.
You went from like kind of a term abroad student to a like long-term study abroad student, which is kind of interesting. So what was the process of applying or enrolling when you initially decided to go to the Japanese campus?
So the process was actually fairly simple. I did apply twice. I got accepted both times, but because of some financial situation, I was unable to go the first time that I was accepted. But the first time that I applied, it was through the common application. So when we had to fill that out kind of in my senior year of high school, it was fairly simple. Just followed the basic personal information steps, and then I believe there was an essay question, and it was sort of the same thing when I applied about 2 years later. The only real difference was that instead of doing it through Common App, I did it directly through the school's website. So it was fairly easy.
That's good. That's good. And how does the Japan campus and Temple University overall support their students? Like, how does the main overarching university support you? And then how does maybe the campus support you being on it as a study abroad student?
They have both like in campus support about like if you're struggling mentally or needing help just navigating through um like different maybe like mental disabilities that you may have that could hinder your uh I guess progress at school. They have counselors both for academics and then mental health counselors, and not only them but they have multiple resources that they send out every semester. They do kind of like mental wellness checkups every like mid semester. They send out reminders like, "Hi guys, we have these mental support here to help you if any of you are struggling." And every semester we have a bunch of events that are like to de-stress, basically giving um, different events kind of to help us de-stress if we feel like we're struggling.
That's definitely important because I know like most universities are trying to up and like promote their mental health services. And I just imagine studying abroad being so far from your family typically, it would just be really important to have that support. So it's great that they provide that. And that brings me to my next question. What is it like, how did it go over with your family? And how often do you travel back to the US? And how do you maybe struggle with homesickness? I feel like that would be a big question that people have when it comes to leaving the country for education.
So when it comes to that question, I know that when I had brought it up originally to my mom about studying abroad, she was very worried about me because at the time I was doing therapy at home and she was worried about how I would have access to mental health resources in Japan since they do have their own separate national healthcare system. So, um, I guess that was one of the things that she was worried about when I mentioned studying abroad. But I know, like I've mentioned before, I reassured her that there's a lot of resources that can help me here if I really, really did need it. And I would say that homesickness is kind of a normal thing to feel. I feel like even if you don't feel it immediately, there are definitely some things that you're going to miss about being home. But I would say the way that I kind of cope with that is just really trying to find ways that you can find community where you are specifically. So I know one thing I was really worried about feeling homesickness is that I grew up with like a very Latino community. So I was kind of worried that I wouldn't have that same sense of like belongingness, kind of. And of course, I understood that I was going to like a whole brand new country with a different culture and all of that, and I was ready for all of it. But definitely meeting people who are also Latino that are studying here, I feel like it's natural to feel a certain kind of ease when you're with people who are of the same culture of you as you. Just so you feel that sense of like, oh, I'm not so much of an outsider as I thought because we're all coming from a bunch of different places, but we all end up at the same campus, whether it be for different reasons. We're all here together. So I feel like while homesickness, I feel like is inevitable, um, there's definitely ways that you can overcome it.
No, for sure. That's definitely good that you obviously there's the services, but also finding community is so important. Whether it be studying internationally or even in your schools in the US, it's very important to find like your kind of community or group or um your support system and people that can relate to you and people that can validate your experiences. Are you in a particular situation where you are technically still a part of an American university? So I know that it's the Japan campus of Temple University. So does that mean you're eligible for American financial aid programs? And does that mean financial aid is still connected to your American citizenship, if that makes sense?
Okay, so Temple University is a 100% American campus. The only thing is that they have multiple campuses around the globe. Like they have the main campus in Philadelphia, they have a campus in Rome. Recently, they actually opened a campus in Kyoto, Japan. So now there are two campuses in Japan officially. Um, so because it is an American campus, we or an American university, we are not considered a Japanese university here. So that does mean I am eligible for financial aid. So I definitely think that um, despite being like in Japan, that's like a common misconception that because we are in Japan, we are a Japanese university, but we are in fact an American university. The degree that we receive is an American degree.
I see, I see. And do you think that because you are technically still at an American university, just an American university stationed or in Japan, do you think that the factors of financial aid and all of that influence your decision? Like, do you think you would have attended or maybe would you have been more hesitant to attend if you didn't have that maybe that financial aid support or it not being an American university?
So for me personally, financial aid definitely was, I would say, a big help with making my decision. I just feel like I've been planning on going to Japan and studying here for a really long time. So I feel like even if I didn't receive financial aid, I probably would have just had to work a lot harder with like applying with scholarships and all of the things like that. But definitely, um, having financial aid now um, helped me even like solidify that decision even more. So that's what I would say.
Like, although you are a great Japanese speaker, and I know that firsthand, so do you struggle with speaking it as a third language from what I remember? You speak English and Spanish, correct?
Yes, correct.
So, as a third language, what's it like living there as a non-native speaker and going about your day?
So while I have studied Japanese for a long time, I still feel like I have many, many, many ways to go. But in terms of using Japanese in my day to day, I, well, for one, I do have a lot of kind of educational background with it. I've been studying it for about, I believe, like 6 years. I continued even after high school. I took Japanese courses in my community college. So I kind of felt like I had a kind of a leg up or an advantage compared to a lot of people that move here.
What does a day in your life look like? Like, what is the housing situation? What's the commute? What's just a weekday in your life look like?
So a weekday in my life. Well, I do attend school 4 days out of the 5 day week here. So a typical day for me, since I am a senior in at Temple, a lot of my classes start later, so I thankfully don't have to wake up super early. Um, and I live fairly close to the school. I can easily take just one train to immediately get to the station where my school is located at. I am about, I believe, a 10-minute train ride commute to school. While I will say my apartment, um, which is my housing situation at the moment, I currently live alone in a apartment in Tokyo. I know a lot of my friends don't live in Tokyo. A lot of them live outside of Tokyo. They have to take multiple trains, but thankfully, the worst part of my commute is the 20-minute walk from my apartment to the station. Like I mentioned before, my classes start around 5 p.m. and they end around, I believe my latest class ends at 8:45, which definitely sounds very, very late. But my classes are really long. They average about 3 hours because I take studio courses, and studio courses for art majors are typically around that time.
What was the last project you worked on?
So the last project I worked on was my project for intermediate drawing, which was a kind of like a project where we receive a theme. The theme was repetition because we are or I'm taking courses that are more advanced now. Temple's art department kind of focuses more on how each student's style develop. So instead of kind of everyone learning the same thing, like learning anatomy or learning color theory, some of the basics like that, now that we're more advanced, they focus on letting us tackle like a concept and then seeing how each of us approaches that concept and seeing what we come up with.
So
So,
your own perspective art style sort of is
oh
being
yeah,
developed.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, they want to prepare us to figure out what we want to do with our art.
What are your post-graduation plans? What do you plan to do?
So I plan on continuing my education. After getting my bachelor's degree, I definitely want to look into graduate art schools in Japan. Um, I know that after receiving my bachelor's from an American university, I really want to try and receive a kind of like a Japanese graduate's degree. I am currently studying to work towards kind of like my end goal of being an art professor. So that takes a lot of schooling.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely more to it than just like having a bachelor's degree. But honestly, I really love what I study, so it's not anything that I would be too kind of hesitant to apply for. So definitely looking into different schools, especially because a lot of them, I know now that I'm going to be applying for a Japanese university, I'm going to need to learn a lot more Japanese than I do now, since all of the classes are definitely going to be in Japanese.
Right. No, that will be so interesting and such a new experience for you because definitely I want to do some videos on post grad in the future because that is definitely a lot of things. It's something that I feel like a lot of students are considering and going the more academia route. And that will be just such an interesting take to hear from you outside of this interview. What have you learned studying in Tokyo as an American student about yourself?
So, something I've learned, I think, I don't know if it's if my answer is a little bit more personal, but kind of like I had this kind of thought before leaving for Japan that basically all of my anxieties, all of my troubles would kind of just like disappear as soon as I moved to Japan. So I just thought having like a clean slate where nobody was gonna know me, um, or like not being around the same people that I grew up with basically my entire life. Um, I just thought everything would kind of just change for me. And while there are so many things that change, there's this like super like popular. I don't know. I'm gonna say it popular, but um, like the saying that goes, "No matter where you are, there you are." So
Mm,
basically, just kind of like just because you change your environment, you yourself don't really change unless you have that change for yourself. So while uh, physically moving to Japan did change a lot for me, say in terms of like my independency and kind of having to take care of myself, things kind of like things like social anxiety, I know like I struggle a lot with. I thought it would kind of just fizzle out since, well, nobody really knows me, so they can't know that I'm kind of like timid or shy or anything like that. Um, it kind of just like I didn't really notice much of a change, but despite that, there's just so much opportunity here. So it's just such a big city. Tokyo's the most populated city in the entire world. So a lot of different people from different backgrounds. There's just so much opportunity to grow. So while things didn't change immediately and didn't change in the way that I would have hoped, um, there's definitely so much potential and still so much room to grow. So I think that's one thing that I've learned about myself. While you have certain expectations of a place, you may be in for like you're kind of receiving what you need and not so much of what you initially wanted.
I feel like that was so insightful because it really is like you'll be like plan so much to reach a goal, and that goal could be starting a new job or starting going to a new place or all of these things or graduating. And that doesn't just mean boom, everything's perfect just because you reached your goal. You still are working, you're still growing. And I feel like I don't even have to ask you my next question, but if you want to answer and give a little bit more, of course. But I wanted to ask what piece of advice you give to someone considering studying abroad for their undergraduate degree. Um, but what you just said was so good.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like, especially if you're at a point in your life where you feel like you need that certain change, definitely don't feel like discouraged by what I said. Like, despite things not, yeah, immediately changing, that doesn't mean that they can't change. They'll definitely change in a way that you need it. Like I said, even if it's not exactly what you wanted, um, it's kind of just something that you have to experience for yourself. And it's never too early, it's never too late. It's just you have to want that for yourself, no matter what is kind of holding you back, whether it's financials or whether it's like a language barrier. It doesn't matter where you're moving to, all of these things kind of you go through it step by step. You're not going to know everything, no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you research. There are going to be things that you're not going to immediately know the answer to, but that's really kind of the point of making this huge change is experiencing new things and going through different obstacles because that's just kind of how life is. You gotta just experience it for yourself and just really want it for yourself. Really, really want it for yourself.
Yeah. It definitely like life is ever changing, ever growing about overcoming obstacles and challenges. And it's like for anybody that wants to study abroad, there's going to be challenges with it, but there's going to be challenges wherever you go. So if you really want to do it is what I would say as well. And I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me about this. Like, as someone who studied at the Center for Global Studies with you, going to college in another country was kind of like normalized almost when we were in school. Like, I feel like it was a journey that was talked about a lot. So I was surprised when I got to college and met students who never considered it or kind of regretted never considering it. So I really wanted to do an interview with somebody who did that process so I could provide that experience to some students that might want to go on that route and get their passport and go somewhere different or try something
Oh
new for
yeah,
their
for sure.
education. It means a lot for you giving you my time or giving your time to me for this. So
Thank
thank
you
you so
so
much.
much for inviting me. I think I kind of wait for the perfect opportunity for people to ask me about studying abroad, not just for my personal experience, but more people need to do it. I swear it's so worth it. Even if it's for a short term, long term, it's just something that everyone needs to experience at least once if they have the chance to. So I really appreciate you listening to me and giving me your time as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a great time. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.